The dance of diplomacy, war, peace, and political theater in our modern times. To be caught between the iron cudgel of escalating global tensions and the velvet glove of sensible domestic policy. Welcome, dear reader, to the modern age, a veritable train wreck of historical cycles, déjà vu on a geopolitical scale, with a dash of political melodrama to keep us all thoroughly entertained and existentially anxious. As our evening news broadcasts juxtapose stories of women in England and Wales gaining an ounce more bodily autonomy with the ominous rumblings of potential military engagement with Iran, one can't help but ponder. Do these contrasting vignettes not echo the dissonance of our very existence? Yes, modern life mimics a tragic opera, a symphony of highs and lows where simultaneous triumph and turmoil compose the main themes. Scene: Cluny, sabers, nuclear swords, and the macabre mask of diplomacy. Our opera begins in the ever-turbulent Middle East, with Iran and the United States playing their age-old game of nuclear brinksmanship, a melodrama as tired and worn as a community theater production of Romeo and Juliet. The New York Times reports President Trump, a maestro in his own right of dramatics and public intrigue, vacillating on his stance toward Israel's hawkish ambitions concerning Iran's nuclear program. In a script that reads more like Shakespearean tragedy than diplomatic dialogue, one sees the tension rise through carefully orchestrated political soliloquies. Trump, swayed by the winds of pressure, most notably from the notorious Bibi, must weigh his next steps carefully, whispers the subtext, a narrative running parallel in tone to a Greek chorus. And there he stands on the precipice of sending American forces into a conflict that might make Dr. Strangelove proud, pondering like Hamlet, to launch or not to launch. But wait, there's a twist. As Iran allegedly sharpens its retaliatory arrows, missiles in this case, targetable at U.S. bases in the volatile theater of the Middle East, American commanders scramble like perturbed actors who've just been handed new scripts moments before showtime. All eyes remain on Iran, a nation portrayed alternately as villain, victim, or vigilante, depending on which chapter, country, or tweet you reference. Echoes from other players soon fill the stage. Israeli forces, in a brutally uncooperative role, paint the sands of Gaza red, a stark reminder of the persistent suffering in Middle Eastern enclaves as humanitarian crises heat tempers hotter than the English meteorological forecasts. And while our spotlit leaders arrange and rear their players like chess pieces, the audience worldwide sits in anxious anticipation, waiting to see if cooler heads or hotter dictums will prevail as the curtains draw ever wider on this act of war. Scene 2. Power shifts, progressive playbooks, and votes for control. Shifting now from global tragedy to the more localized farce that is domestic politics, one finds an equally alluring spectacle. The halls of American power are alive. In the drama of New York City politics, a stage typically lit by lights as glamorous as those on Broadway, Brad Lander's gesture of defiance, his brazen attempt to thwart ICE in an immigration courthouse debacle, provides a twist worthy of Lin-Manuel Miranda's pen. Arrested by agents of an agency that critics ardently decry as modern America's blunt instrument of xenophobia, Lander's theatrical arrest echoes louder than any campaign speech. Yet running parallel is another storyline of hope. Bernie Sanders' endorsement of Zohran Mamdani, connecting progressives' dreams nationwide like a leitmotif in a precisely orchestrated symphony. The clubhouse politics of New York opened their doors to a new wave of idealism, infused with the vigor of Bernie's revolution. Oh, political primaries, thou art the unruly battleground of American ideals where dreams either rise or die under the pounding fists of ideological combat. Pause for dramatic effect because, surprise, surprise, the machinations of existing party titans ensure the tension remains high. Who indeed will prevail? The steadfast lions of institutional power, or the charging brigade of newcomers bearing dreams as their only real artillery? The stakes, wrapped in narrative irony one cannot overlook, are existential. Do we retain status quo policies that have kept Washington entrenched in dynamics as stale as a song sung on repeat? Or do we bust open the symphony, unburdened by tradition's weight? Scene number 30. Social justice as the curtain rises for women's rights. However, for every stage graced by the political elite, there is true power spotted within the quiet solo acts of singular heroes. Consider the bold decision to decriminalize abortions past 24 weeks in England and Wales, a landmark overture led by Labour MP Tonia Antoniazzi. This vote acts as a clarion call to the world, demonstrating that progress on social issues can indeed be affected by those prepared to be real changemakers. Here, lawmakers decide the rights of women with resoluteness, respect, and, most remarkably, a rare occasion for collective applause, progress. Outside the regal halls of Westminster, in the raging public square of American discourse, one question remains. Could such pioneering laws make it across the Atlantic? Amidst stateside efforts marinated in centuries-old puritanical stew, a dish often preferring restrictive measures veiled in moral integrity, hope flickers dimly but discernibly. The decision serves as a hortative ghost for American women, juggling societal expectations and legislative shackles. Is it any wonder, then, that for every breath of progress, there is an opposing force, a whispering counterweight longing to maintain the dangerous dance we find ourselves entwined in? Curtains fall, honors and accolades, a note for the future. In the audience, we find ourselves collectively uncertain and hopeful. We sit back by plush chairs in this theater of world politics, intersecting divergent realms of social advocacy, a raw reminder that individual and global stages are bound together like lovers entwined in destiny's inexhaustible claw. Fringe players, daring protagonists, and even backstage operatives have performed their roles, some with laughter, some in fervent protest, others in muted obstinacy. So, dear reader, as the light dims and the curtain dares to shyly break against the expectation of tomorrow's themes, remember, to live as a politically aware individual in these unprecedented times is to exist both in fascination and frustration. Shall we unfurl the script's next pages together, lending our gaze, a shared, anxious hope towards shaping the narrative of a more just future? Or there, in the dark, behind the safety of laptop screens and print page, shall we remain observers perhaps in history's most cunning and multi-sided play?